So hey guys, in this video I'm showing how we can remotely control PowerPoint presentations using VDO.Ninja. So the idea would be you could have a remote guest connecting to VDO.Ninja, both see a PowerPoint presentation shared with them via VDO.Ninja, but also be able to have buttons available to them that they can remotely toggle that PowerPoint presentation forward or backwards. I have a repo here, github.com/stevesagain/PowerPoint_remote. Check the description for the link. And it contains the files we need to make this work. It's all free and it's also open source. There are a few things we need to install to make this work locally. But here's kind of the workflow. We have a remote guest. They're going to have a couple buttons available to them, and they can send anytime they press a button, those commands get sent over VDO.Ninja to the host computer, which is running PowerPoint. This host computer is also going to have a virtual MIDI loopback device installed and an automation toolkit program called AutoHotkey. And VDO.Ninja is going to issue MIDI commands, and the MIDI loopback device is going to feed those commands then to AutoHotkey. When AutoHotkey gets the commands that we've scripted it to listen for, it's going to take the appropriate action. In this case, control PowerPoint. If you are comfortable scripting AutoHotkey, you could actually have this control pretty much anything. Your volume on your computer, or a game, or any other sort of presentation software potentially, because AutoHotkey has quite a lot of control. You could even have it remotely control a game, but the main focus in this case is on PowerPoint. I've only tested it on Windows. Mac users, you'll have to tweak things. Probably, maybe in time I'll support Mac, but this has only really been tested so far on Windows. Okay, so to get started, if you don't already have it, we need a virtual MIDI loopback device. There's a free one. This is the one I use on Windows. There's quite a few though. I have it installed right here. It's nice because I can see whether there's MIDI signals being transmitted, allowing for easier debugging. So we need that installed. We also need AutoHotkey. It's available at autohotkey.com, and we're using version 2. I didn't see a point in using version 1, which is being deprecated. So version 2. It's easy enough to swap out between the two versions if needed. And yeah, the last thing we need the files in this repo. There's two particular files. This is a library file for AutoHotkey that lets us listen to MIDI commands. And then we have our actual application. So in this application, essentially what we're listening to the MIDI devices connected to our computer. When a certain MIDI signal comes in, either, let's say, value 10 or value 11 in this case, we check to see if PowerPoint slideshow is running. So whether PowerPoint is running in slideshow or not. And if it is, we then issue the appropriate command, up or down. And if it's not running, we'll just put a little pop-up message saying backslide, next slide. So you can still get feedback from the remote user on whether to move a slide forward or back if you can't actually get it to work with PowerPoint directly. But that's about it. Now VDO.Ninja is what's issuing the MIDI commands to the loopback device, and so AutoHotkey is just listening to those commands. Okay, so we need to download the code. We can do that here. Just download extract, and you're good to go. Once you extract it, the folder looks like this. And this particular AutoHotkey file is a library containing MIDI commands. We don't need to run that. What we do need to run is the file called run, and we can run it just by double-clicking. We should get notifications saying PowerPoint controller started, PowerPoint not found. It's not a big deal if it's not found. It just means I haven't turned PowerPoint on. Not a problem. When we run it though, we now see in the taskbar, which you can't see here, down here in the taskbar, we right click on the green H. We can see some options like reload the script if we need to, but we need to click on MIDI input devices, and we need to select loop MIDI device. So it should be check marked just to show that it's active. What we're doing here is telling AutoHotkey to listen to that specific MIDI device with our running script. So the script is now listening to our virtual MIDI device. Now we can just kind of forget about that. It'll stay running in the background pretty much indefinitely until we restart, let's say. Okay. We don't need to worry about PowerPoint. I have it installed at the moment, though, for when we are ready. All the setup is available. Now, in this GitHub repo, I list several different ways we can use this tool. We'll cover all of them quickly, but let's start off quickly with a remote guest control, which is probably the most common way of doing it. Let's say I am a director of a room, so I'll open up this sample link. Since I'm the host system, I can come here and I'll maybe name my room 123. I'm a director of a room, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, let's say, maybe screen share PowerPoint. Right? So I'm now screen sharing PowerPoint. Let's go back here. We can tell that the URL has MIDI in on it. So that's the main parameter. And MIDI in, when we add it to our URL here, simply tells this particular VDO.Ninja instance to listen to remote MIDI signals and send them to our MIDI devices when they come in. So this tells VDO.Ninja to rebroadcast inbound MIDI messages. If you want more information on all that, there's a documentation here. For the remote client now, though, again, just like normal, we can either open a link like this, or we can put this link in and just change our room name. In this case, if we create a new link, we have to add PPT to the end. And you can tell here that the sample link already has that provided. I don't need two pages open, so I'll just join. Select the camera. Let's try with Polypop, whatever. So as a director, I see that the guest is joined, and I can use their video in OBS if needed. The guest, however, they can see a little preview of themselves in the far right, but they also see the PowerPoint presentation in front of them. So that's kind of nice. I forgot that I'm not on alpha. So this feature is new. So it's only on the newest version of VDO.Ninja, like the alpha version at the moment. It will be on the production version in the near future, though. But for this video, I'm just adding alpha to say the newest code because it's a new feature. And you'll see now that when I joined as a guest, we have these little green buttons and red buttons on the bottom. If I click on a green button, the host system AutoHotkey says next slide. And when I go back, it says previous slide. I mentioned before we get the pop-up message if PowerPoint is not active. So what I can do here is I can go in and I can say slideshow from beginning. I can then minimize that. I have a PowerPoint presentation now being presented. And you can see that now full screen. So now as a guest, if I go back and forth, you can see that the video updates with the PowerPoint. Now I press the button and there's a half a second delay because, this is video being shared back to me. But now I can go through the slideshow and control it. Right, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so that's and as a director, I can stop screen sharing if I want to, and then the guest goes back to the normal mode. Let's check out now the documentation. So that was one way we could use it, and we see that the remote guest has a simple button. I'll cover quickly that we can also control the slides remotely with a StreamDeck. There's a few different ways we can actually do this with a StreamDeck. I don't have StreamDeck installed at the moment, but the notion is you can use something called MIDI pass-through with VDO.Ninja. So you can have this StreamDeck generate a MIDI signal, and you send that to VDO.Ninja. And VDO.Ninja will transmit that MIDI signal to the remote system and play it out. I didn't list it here, but the MIDI signal is 110 with a value of 10 and 11 for back and forwards. That's a little bit complicated, I know, but this is a way that if you have VDO.Ninja open, you can program the StreamDeck to issue MIDI commands to control the PowerPoint. You could even technically have a MIDI keyboard, or in this case, like a DJ deck that only has MIDI output, and you can program AutoHotkey to listen for the MIDI commands that you're issuing. So you could have the AutoHotkey listen for C4, a note, right? And change forward and back based on that. Okay, so that's one way we can do it. We can use MIDI commands, and that works with our StreamDeck. If we're not a remote computer, we don't even need to use VDO.Ninja. We can actually have the StreamDeck issue MIDI commands directly to AutoHotkey. So that's another way that we can use this. Is if I'm doing a presentation and I have a MIDI controller or a StreamDeck, I can program it to control the PowerPoint locally without needing VDO.Ninja, but using our AutoHotkey script. On the same note, the browser, your web browser supports MIDI. So just like how VDO.Ninja is issuing MIDI commands, if you're a developer, you can use this script to have your own web page, issue MIDI commands locally to do that. Not common, but just so you're aware that you can replicate what VDO.Ninja is doing fairly easily, and you can refer to VDO.Ninja's source code, because it's open source, on how I'm doing it if you want some help there. The second final way we can do this, and this is something that I'm a little more interested in, is this notion of using iframes. So in this case, we are using a built-in green button, but if I want to customize, if I want to customize how this might look, so here I am, I'll screen share again. Window. So here I am screen sharing in. You will notice that I have these big green buttons now, and I can change slides with them. So this is a different interface, and it's customizable. So this is an example application called PowerPoint. You can look at the code here. It's under 150 lines of code, really. A little bit of styling, but the notion is we put VDO.Ninja in an iframe, so in a sub page. That's the top 90% of the page. And then we have a bottom 10% of the page that is our controller with our buttons forward and back. And when you press forward, it issues a MIDI command to VDO.Ninja as an iframe child. And when you hit preview back, it issues a command. So this is a little bit complicated, but you can download this code and you can add additional buttons. And in AutoHotkey, you can listen to additional MIDI commands then. And so you can actually have 20 different buttons programmed in this way to do custom actions, change volume, to do whatever you want. So it doesn't have to be a PowerPoint presentation. You can use VDO.Ninja's iframe API to do pretty much anything. And you don't have to be running the newest version of VDO.Ninja. This iframe API has been supported for a year now or more. So it's available to just start using. The only reason the previous version had to be run on alpha version 22.12 was because those integrated green and red buttons were new. But if you make your own wrapper, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, you can make your own sort of controller interface, and the sample code is provided on how to do that. It doesn't need to be for PowerPoint, but it works pretty well. Okay, so that's an example. I provide the links here on how you can sample it and a photo. If you're a developer, I provide all the information there, and there's also documentation on the iframe API. It's a very powerful API. You can use it to do a lot of things. Finally, you can use something called a post request or a GET request or a WebSocket request to do it. VDO.Ninja has an API. Let's go here and I'll drop that in here. Let's say 1, 2, 3. And close that. We just need to issue a command saying, what's our API key? It's 1, 2, 3. So we just need to issue 1, 2, 3. Did I connect? It might be already in use. Let's try that. Okay, same problem as before. This new API key is only on alpha. Let's try it now. There we go, true. And the slide changed. You couldn't really see it, but let me open up PowerPoint. Slide, right? So we can put this sort of API style command into StreamDeck as a HTTP request. We can also use this on a server or application or Python script or whatever. And so this is a way to issue commands directly via a server to a VDO.Ninja client. And in fact, you don't even need this open. You can get rid of all this and just keep MIDI in. So even from this page, I can now change slides. And if I want to go back, previous slide. You don't have to be connected to anyone. The API is connected to a server. MIDI in says forward it. So in this case, you just need VDO.Ninja open and it will work. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. If you have questions, you can check out the Discord server, discord.video.ninja. I'm on there most of the time, and there's a community who can help you if you have questions. Also, you can put feedback requests there as well, and any bug reports. I appreciate bug reports for sure. Okay, thank you for watching. I realized that was a little bit long and a little bit boring, but hopefully that was helpful. If you need PowerPoint controls, it's available. Okay, bye guys.